又输了，7分钟拿了7个人头都能输，我服了。可惜了，可惜了，可惜了。
打了8个小时的比赛，饿了吧？先看下菜单。
阿姨，给我来份麻辣香锅，我什么都要。
喂，叫小姐姐。
海式奶茶要不？加了枫糖。
我又变强了。
王在敲门，敲门的人是我。
准备好当救世主了吗？我们早就准备好了，你呢？来吧，去创造你们的时代。
太慢了吧，等你好久了。
Welcome to the LPL. We're here in Week 1, Day 6. And though the week may be winding down to a close, it doesn't mean the fun stops here in the LPL. We're going to be having some fiery series here today, Clement.
It definitely will be the case. And to start it all off, we're going to see some saloon shots of the Snake players right here in front of you. Their new player, Mala, just showing up, the backbone of the team, Flandre. And we also got a shot at SOFM, still holding the ship down. Asura, their new AD carry. Maestro, their support. I would say he's the most handsome one by far. That's just my personal opinion, but definitely could be on some drama TV shows here in China.
It's really fun seeing how all the different teams try to promote themselves. You know, WE had that huge ceremony. Snake's got this cool little video intro, and now we get to see the stage a little bit as well. It's nice to see the teams show a little bit of their personalities.
I really love what they're doing for the openings here in Chongqing Arena, because every different one, they have their own style. They really want to bring in the culture of the city that they're located in. And for the Snake Arena, it's all about their logo and the fact that they have that black mamba staring you in your eyes, ready to strike. And ready to strike they are in 2019, a fresh start for our Snakes.
Yeah, and they're going to be, of course, one of the 2 series here today. But before we go into that, let's introduce ourselves. I am Matt Niberia Clendaniel, joined by Clement Chu. And Clement, let's talk a little bit about the standings so far this week.
Definitely. I think the big thing for me personally is that our lower tier teams are picking up wins. Sino Dragons really surprised us yesterday with their win versus WE, a team that was expected to go all the way into playoffs. And also for Vici Gaming, they've already found a small win against Suning. Not able to take down this entire match, but at least they're getting on the board.
It's nice to see the teams that we've known to be not the greatest here in the LPL. Some of the bottom tier teams, they've really been mixing it up this season. With the roster changes they've made, they'd have a lot of success. And speaking of, we've got a few of them here today. Our first series will be FPX versus Snake, and the second will be Suning versus RNG. But Clement, our first one's a bit of a grudge match.
It definitely is. Back in summer split of 2018, Snake were poised to go into playoffs. They were holding on to their 4th spot in the Western Conference at Week 9, but then they dropped a ton of games, and FPX actually managed to squeeze in as the last and 4th place of that playoff bracket. So this is a match where Snake are looking at FPX and saying, I need to get some back.
Yeah, and they actually have changed their roster a little bit to coincide with that goal. They've dropped their mid laner, and they've dropped one more member of their team, Light, and they've picked up a few choice rookies for their mid and bottom lanes.
Snake as a team has always been pretty slow at the start of the game. What they're really looking for is some extra punch to their early game, so buffing up those carries in the bottom side of the map. I think so far Asura has had some really good showings, taking it to Mako and iBoy in the bot lane, and Mala had a very good game coming over from the Challenger Korea series, and he's played terrifically in the team fights on his Urgot.
We, of course, have not yet gotten to see Andy, but we're excited when we get the opportunity to. With Snake, we got to see Mala play Asura as well when they took the 2-1 over EDG, which was an exciting upset. And here it's going to be even more exciting because Snake have a lot to work with this season, but as always, they're going to have their workhorse in the top lane in Flandre.
I think SOFM is the stylish guy of Snake. He's probably the fan favorite, but when it comes to their team identity, Flandre has to be your highlight player. He's known as a light slinger for his creativity, the first one to really bring picks like the Azir and the Lucian towards the top lane. You can see on his screen 18 champion picks just in the summer split, and he also deals a ton of damage. The second best top laner, right behind the Shy in terms of CSD, and also carries the damage load on his team. 27%. He is the all-star that really keeps his Snake squad together.
And they rely on him a lot in two very distinct ways. They rely on him to make the engages and also get the kills.
It's so unique to see a player that does most of the engages on his team and then still comes away with one of the highest damage shares and one of the highest kills, because if you engage, you typically die first. But what Flandre is really known for is going in on the enemy team and blowing up a target before anyone even realizes. He has a really cool style to watch because it requires so much finesse.
And his champion pool reflects this. We'll see a lot of Akali, as you can see here. He's able to take out some key targets in team fights, but he'll also pick up things like the Gangplank, where he can threaten the backline from far away, or the Vladimir, where he still has the opportunity to dive in and do some damage by himself.
Definitely the highlight player for me, and one of my favorite players to actually watch. You never really know what he's going to bring up, and whatever he's playing, he's always so effective on it. So he's going to be our star for Snake Esports.
But of course, Snake isn't the only team that we're going to see today. We're also going to see FPX, and we have seen them once before here in the LPL so far this split. And the highlight for me personally is going to be Doinby.
Definitely. Doinby, whichever team he's on, he's going to be the linchpin. He's going to be the style of your team. What I think he really provides to FPX, because this was a team that had a lot of good players, but wasn't necessarily a great team. They lacked a lot of focus and direction, and I think what Doinby brings to them is the utility and the engage to really get them into team fights, get them snowballing in that big 5v5 scenario. So I think he's going to really give a good focus to this FPX squad.
And last year we characterized FPX's playstyle as chaotic. It was not necessarily bad play, like you said. They're not bad players. Just as a team, they didn't have the cohesion they needed. They didn't have the macro to work together well as a 5-man unit. But now they've picked up a very important coach from the LMS, the former Flash Wolf coach, Warhorse.
Warhorse started his career as a StarCraft 2 player, and then he went on to the Flash Wolves organization, really brought his expertise in the other fields into League of Legends as well, and shaped up his team with a very strict style. He's one of the few coaches that I will see just go ham on a player, really shout them out of the match and say, hey, this is what you're doing wrong. I need you to fix this now, or you're just not going to be there. So I really respect these type of coaches, and he has a proven track record for success, and I think he'll be able to rein the players in from FPX that at times feel a little bit too freestyle. Gimgun would definitely be one of those players. LWX, you know, with the Ezreal buffs, he just has one more reason to shift in. So I really like what the FPX team picked up for their coaching position, and I just want to see if they can bring that cohesion to the team.
And so far, we've seen them do a passable job. In their first series, we saw a lot of Doinby's trademark picks. He went the Yasuo and the Kled in his first series, so he's at least keeping on brand, if nothing else, Clement. And they were able to work with that. The usual problem teams will run into when you have a player that has these unique picks is that they don't integrate them well, they don't play well together as a unit. But so far, at least in this split, FPX hasn't had as big problems as they did in previous splits.
It's still very early on to say, but we can see that Doinby has brought the ban pick style that they had on Rogue Warriors straight onto FPX. They're always saving that last pick for Doinby to get him on a carry that he can counter the lane opponent with. We've already seen the Aurelia, sorry, not not the Aurelia, the Kled being picked, and of course the Yasuo into the Aurelia matchup, which is considered a counter pick here in the LPL as well. So a lot of exciting things going on.
And you're going to see the roster for FPX on your team, of course. Gimgoon in the top, Tian jungle, Doinby as we've been speaking of in the mid lane, and LWX and Crisp rounding it out there in the bottom lane.
Tian also being a new addition coming over from Suning Gaming, used to be the 2v2 partner of Knight on YM, but didn't find much time on Suning itself, so I'm glad to see him finally get a new home.
Yeah, and Gimgoon I actually have been pretty impressed with. His Urgot play earlier this week was pretty great. But speaking of great, Clement, we've got the new roster of Snake, and they're looking to redeem themselves from last split, where they had 9 out of 10 games were losses all at the end of the season.
Yeah, this was a team that started out with so much hope, but now are their new faces. We have Mala coming over from Reverse Gaming, used to be former teammates with Pose on WE that we saw yesterday, and Asura, their new AD carry in the bot lane. Was a bit of a Caitlyn player, but we also see him do a lot of good work in lane itself against EDG, which is something that Snake really hasn't been known for. So I want to see if these two new carries can elevate this team to a new degree.
And this gives them a lot of opportunity in strategic avenues that they didn't have before, we'll say. Because before, SOFM had this odd choice where the bottom side of the map was significantly weaker than Flandre. So he would have this dichotomy of he can go top, get Flandre to work, get him ahead, get him going, and risk the rest of the map falling apart. Or they leave arguably their best player with no help while he tries to clean up the rest of the map and make sure nobody dies while Flandre tries to do his thing.
And you know, Snake just had such a weird style that I don't think all of their pieces fit together, and I think that was the main reason why they actually dropped out of the playoffs after the gold funneling strategy was no longer there. They couldn't have the creativity to match up with other teams on an even playing field. They were a very, very slow team, and they relied on their simultaneous team fights to get them back into the game, where they would suddenly pop out of nowhere and flank from all different angles to take wins off of them. Now we're seeing a Snake that maybe can't take it to enemy teams in the early game as well.
Hopefully that shift will be reflected here in the games. FPX, of course, and Snake, two of our 1-0 teams, the best record you can potentially have with one series. So one of them going to be going down. And first off, we're going to have a few bans. Olaf and Lee Sin here for FunPlus, and then Snake going to ban away the Cassiopeia and Aatrox.
Respect for the Vietnamese junglers. 2 bans being thrown at him already. We've actually seen this being done in the RNG versus Snake series when they were met each other in the playoff run. And it's basically, if you can shut down SOFM, a lot of the time Snake, their own laners are not strong enough to really pull them together towards the mid game. So this is a viable strategy that we've seen so far.
And now that Akali ban, we were talking about Flandre, we saw him play it earlier, so that's going to potentially hurt Snake's chances here.
Akali is a really important pick for Snake. They can probably flex it. We haven't seen the entire depth of Mala's champion pool, who's known as a Zoe and Ryze player, but I do suspect that the Akali would be, they're banning it mainly for Flandre's potential in towards the top side.
Now Gimgoon looking to hover that Swain. A lot of power in this pick. And it can be flexed, but oh, Lucian instead.
Yeah, Lucian is one of those picks that you just can't let go of. So far, we've seen 24 games being played in the LPL. Lucian has appeared in 22 of them. So definitely one of the linchpins of the meta. And I feel like Asura probably doesn't have that much practice on the Lucian. Their series against EDG was one of the few where we actually saw Lucian completely disappear from the bans.
But now Snake have picked up the Galio and the Camille. Both of them have mobility in their own way. Camille in fight and Galio cross map.
Ooh, and this is what we're talking about for Snake. Their most important thing is their engage tools. They want to be able to jump at you and really pull themselves out of bad laning phases. So they're still going to go with that style. And this time around, it does look like with the last counter pick, they could be looking to get Flandre ahead earlier on. For FPX, we see the Yasuo and the Gragas combo going on. Tian, a lot of viewers might not be that familiar with him, but Gragas is by far his best champion, his most played champion overall. And we did see Doinby have a I believe it was a 4-1 and 12 showing on the Yasuo early on this week.
So, and that combo as well has quite a bit of synergy there. You have the knockbacks, the knockups from Gragas into the Yasuo ultimate, which makes for a very dangerous level 6 for FPX. And we'll see what Snake wants to respond with. Looks like they're focusing towards their support though.
Ooh, this one's a spicy one as well, and it is a shift of tone for Snake. So far, we've only seen Maestro go for the more defensive ports in Tahm Kench and the Braum, but this time with their composition, they are looking to play FBX straight up with the 5v5 and try to go head-to-head with teamfight initiation. So I do like them stepping up to the challenge this time around, but I feel like they need to get a very good AD carry here that is not going to lose the lane too hard.
And it looks like they're focusing out the supports for FPX as well. And FPX responding, like you said, they know Snake wants to get that AD carry, so they're going to ban out the Xayah. Of course, great combo with the Rakan, strong early. So we'll see what Snake wants to respond with here. I don't know if they want to go for a second support ban.
Yeah, they're just thinking about how they can give their laners a better time, because something like a Lucian and Thresh, that's just so much kill potential. Also, the Thresh is a very good counter into the Rakan itself. Xayah so far has been one of the highest win rate champions in the LPL, 71% win rate, and I don't think you want to pick a Sivir or really an Ezreal in this situation either. There's not a lot of good champions that you can go up straight on with the Lucian. If you go with the Caitlyn, sure, you can stay in lane early, but once the Lucian gets his items going, that's not a comfortable lane to stay in either. We've also seen some mages being selected as a potential way to play around the Lucian.
And now it looks like Snake want to go for that Ezreal for Asura.
Something that he can play a bit safer on. Yeah, I think it's going to be the Ezreal. You can try to go for a non-interactive lane. The Sivir is just a horrible lane to go up against.
And they are helped out, of course, by the fact that they banned the Braum. We didn't talk about it, but it's such a good combo with that Lucian. The easy double tap to proc the Braum passive. You really just can't give that over if you're looking to get a safer bottom lane.
Now it's FBX's turn to reveal their top laner. They want to get a strong pick that can't be countered out easily.
They could go with the Vladimir, and we've talked about that being part of Flandre's champ pool, but looks like instead they might go for this Alistar.
Just more knock-up to go on with Doinby. Like you said, there aren't a lot of good counters to the Vladimir. We've actually seen Gimgoon himself pick the Kled into it.
This leaves a lot riding on Flandre's shoulders if this gets locked in. Because that would mean 2 of his power picks in the Akali and the Vladimir have been taken away from him. Gangplank's still up, but not sure if he wants to play that here.
And this is the chance for us to see something special come out of Flandre here. Like we talked about in Summer Split, 18 different champions played. I feel like for them, they just want something that deals a bit of sustained damage, can help with the initiations as well.
Oh. Now where's this Aurelia going to go is the question, because all of these are flex picks, both of these solo laners. Looks like it will go over to Flandre.
Really haven't seen the Galio top that much. The immobility really prevents him from going into the long lane, so I do suspect the Aurelia being the top lane choice here.
Looks like you will be correct there. Flandre going to be able to get that, and hopefully... honestly, I don't know how confident I am him laning into that Vladimir.
The problem I see with this composition is that if Doinby ever gets big, both of the solo laners have no way to really contest against the Yasuo. Those are not good matchups for them.
Now, that Yasuo will be a point of contention that Snake needs to keep down. They have some tools to do it. They have a safe bottom lane, like you said, with that Ezreal and Rakan. They have the capability to play a sort of handshake lane, avoid the engages from the Alistar and the Lucian, but they need to make plays around the rest of the map, and they have Camille and Galio. They have the tools to make those roams, make those proactive plays.
I think the easiest way for Snake to really play the early game out is just to get Camille and Galio together, try to shut down the Yasuo early. They could do the level 2 red gank. I've seen this a couple times from their team. And if they have mid pressure, at least their bot lane won't suffer as much. The Lucian lane is just basically impossible to deal with for most AD carries on this patch. Snake understand that they're expected to be pushed in that lane. And for Snake, they're mainly a topside team anyway, so I do suspect that SOFM is going to be trying to gank from the top side and keep on pressure against Gimgoon on his Vladimir in the top as well.
This will be interesting to see because I was impressed a lot by Gimgoon's play earlier in the week on Urgot. He played at both games in their previous series, and he got some amazing ultimates, some Fear Beyond Death that got fears on multiple targets. So I want to see how he's going to transition that into something like the Vladimir, which has a similarly strong ultimate. Not exactly as fight-changing, but it can do a lot for him, and he can tank away using just health, just damage. So I'm excited to see that as we get here into Game 1 of Snake versus FPX. Cheers coming out loud and fast for both teams here, Clement. Going to be an exciting matchup. The Snake fans happy to be there, happy to be in the arena, happy to be with the new team. And they want to see how this new roster is going to fare against FPX.
Chongqing Xiongqi is what we hear from the crowd, speaking their dialect there in Sichuan. Basically means the same thing as Jiayou, which we've heard a lot.
Just cheering on their favorite team, letting them know they've got the support behind them. Level 1, no fancy shenanigans going on, just getting warding in the river from both teams. And Tien going to start on these Raptors, actually.
Very standard key runes, keystones being selected here across the board. And the first thing I really want to see is how is Camille going to maneuver this jungle pathing. We already see that FPX are very well aware of the level 2 red gank, so you can see both boards being put down to just prevent that.
Oh, Flandre, early aggression onto Gimgoon. I'm really liking to see this because I want to make sure that he doesn't just give up the lane.
Yep, we see this trade quite often from the Aurelia, especially against ranged targets. You can go in with your fully stacked Ionian Fervor. The Blade Surge also helps you to do that. Does get a favorable trade earlier on, but it does seem like the Transfusion is going to negate most of it.
The ability to poke from range, get that heal is so strong for Vladimir. SOFM going to be spotted out on a ward here, trying to gank Doinby. And honestly, besides from the vision, I feel like Mala is a little uncomfortable playing into this Yasuo.
That should be the case. The Yasuo is considered a counter here against the Galio, able to go 1v1 against him very easily. But I just overall love what FPX did to protect Doinby earlier on. 3 wards being placed in the river just to make sure that any route that SOFM chooses will be exposed and they will have early warning for the Doinby.
Poro as well, but SOFM going to get the vision, might be able to steal away this blue buff, I'm not sure. We see Tien walking up towards it. That plant's going to give it away.
Yeah, this is one of the most interesting paths that we've seen so far, really leveraging Flandre's early power in the top side as well, taking 2 camps on the bot, both scuttles, and then the blue buff as well. So this is a massive lead for SOFM already. Forget about the mid lane deficit. I think SOFM, just with his pathing, might be able to take the lane back.
Well, we've seen triple buffs, we've seen double scuttle crabs, but I'm going to be honest, Clement, I can't remember the last time we've seen both in the same game from the same jungler.
You know, we've been calling SOFM the Prince of the Prince of Thieves, basically, in the LPL. Very similar position to Dandy before him, and he actually had more buff steals, twice as more buff steals than the second ranked jungler in terms of 2018. So he's always been very creative with his pathing, and we're seeing it once again, just trying to negate the matchup advantages that Doinby has in the mid lane.
Oh, this is not looking good for Mala. He gets the Justice Punch down. Aftershock will be procced. We'll get away from this gank well, but if they had played that a little bit better, FPX were going to have a 3-on-1 chance at Mala.
I really like Mala's positioning right there. He wasn't goaded into the trade. He did have the minion wave advantage right there, but he was well aware that there were a lot of eyes on him, so he put his positioning right underneath the tower, and FPX's roam is for naught.
Now, as a result, Mala going to be doing quite well in this lane so far. SOFM will be spotted out by the lane ward. The warding here, rather, from FPX has been really impressive for Doinby. As you said, they want him to be safe, but it's really just been brilliant choices on where to put them.
and FPX really know their win condition. If Doinby gets fed, there isn't a single character that can go 1v1 against him in any of these side lanes. So they're just trying to make sure that they can keep that win condition alive, wait for some of those team fights. If Doinby accidentally picks up 2 or 3 kills, they've got a clear victory condition come late game.
And Snake so far don't really have an answer. In the top lane, they're going about even. Mid lane down a lot of CS, and the bottom lane, as we've mentioned, are going to be getting pushed in a lot, so they're not going to have these opportunities to influence the mid lane. So it's all on the shoulders of Mala and SOFM, and if FPX keeps up the warding like they have been, it's not looking good for Snake.
See Tien coming in, looking for a kill somewhere.
Flash taunt onto Mala, but Crisp goes in, he gets the knockup, flash away from SOFM. SOFM has to get out of there, Doinby comes in, but it looks like everyone from Snake is going to make it out unscathed.
So they actually don't trade unfavorably in terms of summoners. They did expend both summoners from Doinby and also the flash coming out from Crisp. 2 for 2 flashes, but that really was not a fight that Snake wanted to take themselves. It was a 4v3 situation, and even though they were the ones looking for it, they do manage to get away without taking much damage.
Oh, Tien just gonna dodge away from SOFM's engagement. Now Chris getting engaged on the bot lane, dead for first blood.
That was surprising to say the least. They've been dominating this lane for so long, but out of nowhere, Chris, without his summoner, is just too far forward.
Well, this is something we see occasionally from these really dominant lane matchups. The laners who are in the more favorable position will get a little bit over-aggressive. They try and push their lead further than it allows, and they get punished in instances exactly like that one.
Yeah, let's watch the replay right here. Remember, Chris already expended his flash earlier on just to catch out the mid laner coming in from Snake, but I'm still not sure why he falls down. Oh, he actually steps into turret range, takes one shot, and then the full combo from Asura. That was definitely just a mistake coming out from Chris.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying when the bot games had those tower indicators that it made it a lot harder for newer players to learn the ranges, but I feel like maybe Chris could give it a shot, learn those ranges a little better, but unfortunate dive from him, and now he's just going to keep roaming with his team. FPX have been so aggressive into this jungle, into this side of Snake's map, and they're just going to keep trying to steal away the blue. Tien will secure it.
Even with the kill, FPX still have control over this bottom side as expected, but we have to look at Asura's gold count right now. He should be sitting pretty. I actually think he should have the gold lead over Lucian at this point. Remember, he is taking the Kleptomancy, so that assist in itself really negated everything that FPX tried to do in that bottom side lane. They didn't even get any turret platings either.
And this means that FPX might have to spend time away from Doinby. Their goal is to get him ahead. Their goal is to keep him going. But if the other lanes aren't ahead enough to keep their team from collapsing, suddenly Tien might have to spend some time in the top lane. He might have to spend some time in the bottom lane, and that would allow Snake the opportunity to start shutting down Doinby.
Just a Hex Flash being blown right there. Tien, I think he walked into lane and a spectator bug happened, where he just instantly teleported back.
Oh, this is brutal from SOFM.
Yeah, they're pretty much just splitting out the map at this point, and I think in this meta, this is probably the best way to play it. You really need, each team really needs their own strong side, which they can dominate, and because you can't really move your lane advantages from one side of the map to the other side without losing a lot of turret plating. So full-on trades is a lot more of what we see in the current patch today.
Mala narrowly avoiding a gank, walking to the side he knew was safer, and now Tien gonna start up that Ocean Drake. Now it's just 8 minutes in. There's potential that he could solo it. Gragas does have a lot of beefiness, a lot of sustain with his passive, and bottom lane's pushing in, so they'll likely be able to get this.
Nothing really happening here. I think the next big play for FPX is when are they actually going to move Doinby to the bottom side of the map? They actually just have a clear vision path at this point. It's a very easy combo for Tien and Doinby to pull off. So you can see Snake's bot lane right now already dropping the control ward in the inner try and actually having Maestro back off really, really far away from that tower in anticipation of that 4v2.
It's now almost 10 minutes in, and Doinby has had absolutely zero pressure put on him. 20 CS up on Mala. So far in this game, FPX is sitting real pretty.
And the question will who actually has the better scaling composition come towards the late game, and I do slightly lean towards Snake a bit. I feel like Aurelia in this patch, when she gets her Triforce and her Titanic Hydra, that's just such a powerful spike that nobody can really deal with. And also Ezreal is a scaling monster in the current 9.1 patch, especially if he decides to go for a little bit of AP as well. So I feel like FPX, even though they have a really good wombo combo composition, they are the ones that do need to look to push the pace in this game.
Now SOFM going to be spotted out by that ward. And Snake, as you say, going to scale up, but if Doinb is allowed to scale up as well, that'll be a big thorn in their side for their macro game. So now, Snake looking to try and get some plays made, get some vision control down in this quadrant. But FPX are there, responding with vision of their own. Now Rift Herald is available, and it looks like Snake are posturing up towards that side.
I don't think FPX really want to contest this, so what they should be doing is looking to trade back onto the bottom side, at least be in position to do so if they do see Mala leaving the lane.
SOFM will be spotted out by the wards of FPX, and I have to commend FPX. Once again, their vision so far this game has been immaculate. They're spotting SOFM every time he tries to go for a gank.
Speaking about immaculate vision, also a very good ward onto the Herald, so they don't have to pull the trigger too early on the trades anywhere else on the map. They know that Snake isn't doing it so far. They're actually in pretty good position, and they do hold off on the Herald take, even with a weaker top side.
A weaker top side, you say, but it's pretty significant at this point.
Is that a spectator bug? I would expect it would be.
If not, we're going to see a pause.
Okay, it's definitely a spectator bug.
He's sitting behind the Raptor pit. The ultimate going down onto Mala. He gets the taunt up. Predator's coming in from Gragas, but a good Justice Punch will save Mala's life.
Good roam in for Maestro as well. I'm a little bit suspect on the actual positioning of that fight happening. It did look a bit premature for Doinb. I think they were actually further down the lane, but Mala obviously able to avoid that anyway.
Oh, Maestro getting engaged on a little bit too aggressive, clearing out that vision. Ultimate's not going to save you there, bud.
And the Ignite goes down to equalize the kills on the map as well. Just leveraging the pressure they have from the bot lane. Crisp always being able to leave lane first.
And finally, we're seeing their bot lane do what it was designed to do, what it was supposed to do. Despite the over-aggression of Crisp, making him die in the early game, he's now been able to roam. They've kept it pushing in. The roams from Crisp, as you say, have been influencing the mid lane quite heavily, and they're keeping Asura down in CS on top of it.
And most importantly, they didn't even have to leverage Doinb from the mid lane to accomplish any of that. Just a straight up 3v3 victory. They don't lose anything topside, but here comes Snake, a chance to engage.
Teleport comes in as well. SOFM goes for the Hextech ultimatum onto Tien. Here comes the hero's entrance. They get the knockup onto 2. Tien's gone golden, but he will die. The taunt onto 2 as well. Chris will fall next. 2-0 for Snake.
Everything expended on FPX's side just to get into that fight, but they were already low previously, and it was a very easy pickup. The teleport positioning so good from Flandre right outside the ramp. There's no chance of them getting away from that, and they're still going in for more.
Flandre wants this. LWX is not having a good time. The solo out from Flandre. He has to go golden to avoid the Hemo Plague. He's still alive, but for how much longer? Gets the stun onto Gimgoon, so he might be able to get out, but Gimgoon's still looking for the chase. Flandre's low, but Maestro body blocks, and it looks like Snake might just get out of this.
Nothing to chase on Gimgoon's side anymore. The phase rush already used up, and Flandre, what a successful teleport. We rarely see these in today's games, but he was winning super hard on the top side already. Had a great flank like Flandre is always known for. If you look at the positioning, Tien's already low. They got you cornered from all sides. There's nowhere that FPX can actually go. And even with Flandre missing the flawless duet, the Vanguard's edge, excuse me, they were still able to clean that fight up with ease.
And what beautiful play from Mala as well. Not only did he get the hero's entrance onto 2, but he disengaged and then re-engaged to hit with the Justice Punch, knocking them up once again and keeping everyone in the middle of the fight. And we've been talking about the teleport problems a lot recently, Clement. And as you say, Flandre's been one of the only people who's been able to pull off that gank correctly.
Been a very rare play that we see these types of teleports being played. Most of this is actually post 14 minutes now. People really don't like to leave their lanes anymore, but let's watch Mala is being caught in between a rock and a hard place.
Engaged onto Chris. Here comes the ultimate from Doinby, but Doinby's tanking tower. He's pretty low. There's two here. They get the knockup. This should be the kill onto Doinby, if nothing else, but Doinby flashes out to safety, and they won't be able to catch him. Chris just leading them on a merry chase away.
And this is so much profit for FBX right here. You can see that they pulled a lot of members that were supposed to be hitting on that top lane tower, and they're able to trade the bot lane for basically nothing at this point. And Christmas, how much time is he actually going to waste from Snake?
He is making them look like such fools right now. Finally, a Death Under tower that Crisp really wanted to happen.
Look at that top lane wave. That wave should have been shoving into the top side, and Snake should have been taking that tower down. But because they were trying to chase down Crisp for that single kill, the entire macro trade goes completely over to Doinby and FBX.
And this is a problem for Snake. While they do have the better late game by a little bit, that's predicated on the fact that Doinby doesn't get massively ahead here. He's already 1-0-0, almost 30 CS up on his opponent. He's got the Phantom Dancer working towards the Jorum's Fist, which perhaps into a Steric's Gauge. He's going to be beefy, and he's going to be doing damage, and it's going to happen soon.
Just with the innate damages that you can get from your runes now, we do see a lot of the Yasuos going for very, very defensive builds early on. Both the Phantom Dancer and the Steric's Gauge, like we were talking about, giving them a lot of survivability in the team fight.
Uh-oh. Mala, you are super dead here, buddy, but they get the engage. Doinby's half health. If they take him out, they have a chance. They get the kill. They're going for the re-engage. Flandre comes in. He gets one. He gets two. The Vanguard's Edge doing so much. Hero's entrance. Goodbye, Chris. You're not going to be long for this world. Absolutely toasted.
And this is what Snake are known for. They always get the better collapse on enemy teams. Flandre comes in, hits 3 people with the disarm on the Vanguard's Edge, and there's nowhere for LWX to actually go. He needs to run away with his tails between his legs. Even though that FBX were the ones that started the fight, they still couldn't out-collapse Snake.
And now Snake pick up the Rift Herald off the back of that. And let's take a look at that play one more time.
We can see the pings going down all over the map right now. FBX think they have the advantage right here, but they're actually walking into a 5v4 scenario with Snake. Gimgoon is nowhere to be seen. The disarm goes down on everyone. LWX, he knows that he can't even turn around and actually deal any damage, and they have to leave Crisp to dead once more.
This time he's not able to stall them out. This time he's just dead. And now Snake 8-2 in kills. They have a bit of a gold lead, but Doinby is still at large. They've gotten 1 kill on him. They need to keep up the pressure.
You just can't outflank the flank masters in Snake. They're so good at that game plan. This is what they're always been known for. It doesn't matter if they don't take a lot of first towers, if all of their lanes are typically behind. When it comes to mid-game, when it comes to these team fights, Snake are king.
And we haven't touched on Flandre a lot since the early stages of laning, but look at him now. He's up 40 CS, 401, as we see LWX getting a little bit of a gank. Oh, the engage, they really want him here. SOFM gonna pick that one up, but that's 2 ultimates burned.
Yeah, FPX not really getting a lot out of this long lane. They're finding it very hard to pressure the enemy from Snake right now, and they've also lost control of the river. So FPX are pretty much scrambling to keep hold of their own territory and keep tabs on where the Snake members are running around the map, because there's so many of them that have great engage tools and can instantly pick off your members.
It's interesting to look at Flandre's build right now. He's gotten the BF sword immediately after the Trinity Force.
So we could see something like the, I believe he would be going for the Guardian Angels. That's what we see most of the time if you want to go super aggressive. And also that's a build that was popularized by Ning. He usually goes second item, Guardian Angels, just to go super ham in terms of the team fights. If you're playing one of these engage compositions, you don't really want to give up your life just for the initiation. And if you have the GA, that really negates the problem.
And that'll fit Flandre's style incredibly well, alongside something with perhaps like a Steric's Gauge later in the game, will allow him to do his regular thing. Go in, get the engages, and miraculously survive.
And it's sorry, it's going to be very difficult for FPX to actually pick their targets later on in the team fights. What Yasuo really wants to do is he wants to take one member down as soon as the fight begins, but with everyone running GAs, the main targets that you're going to hit in Camille and the Aurelia, a lot of times your wombo combo is not going to have the effect that you want it to. We're really looking at Joinby to potentially get a snipe onto Asura. I think that's how they're going to win the team fight. If it's only onto Flandre or only onto SOFM, I don't think it's going to be effective.
But look at Asura's build as well. This is brilliant planning here from Snake. They know that he's probably the only realistic target left, and he's itemized almost full armor. The Ninja Tabbies plus the Iceborne Gauntlet are going to make him surprisingly beefy in these engages. And if he goes for a second tier item as well and stacks that up, that's a huge shield on top of that.
And that's a really fast mana array. By the way, 20 minutes on the dime. He's already got it evolved. He did play the defensive lane very, very well. Knew that his purpose in life was basically to scale up and deny the physical focus coming out from FPX's bot side.
Now we're going to see him reap the rewards of his good laning, just farming up a little bit in the mid. And the Colonel, bit of a fan of Snake so far, it seems.
Yep, the extrapolation coming out from the Colonel. This is actually based on a mathematical model, which I'm not privy to, but I trust him in. I agree with the Colonel on this one. It's about 70-30.
See, we don't have access to the Colonel, so we just have Clement instead. He's our mathematical model. We just feed him the data, he calculates it while I talk, and I just spend a bunch of time saying things, and I come back and I'm like, okay, Clement, what are the percentages at now? And that's how we run stats here.
I would go even further for Snake at this point. You can see they have full side lane control. I'm not even sure Doinby can take down
Flandre here in the
Flandre.
1v1. Gimgoon is getting on the wrong side of this fight, has to flash out, but Flandre says, get back here. I'm not done with you yet. Still has the GA, no less.
5-0-0, 950 gold bounty onto Flandre right now. And like I said, I just don't think Doinby's going to be able to face off against Flandre either, so the potential win conditions from FPX really narrowing down, and they're only left with the big wombo combo onto targets without a GA, and that would only be Mala and Asura at this point.
And it seems like in their fervor for getting Joinby ahead, for getting him that huge win in lane, they've forgotten about Snake's win conditions. They've forgotten about Flandre. Because he's able to get these solo kills in the lane. Look at that massive CS lead, those massive kills. Joinby, it doesn't matter if he gets fed anymore because he cannot face Flandre. And now instead of FPX having that powerful split pusher, it's going to be Snake.
And we have to do a little bit of a recap for FPX. The two biggest mistakes that they did was that they blundered their bot side advantage. Chris basically gave up a kill for no reason. He took a tower shot, then the full combo from Asura to really end his life. And then on their blue invade, where Tien was already low, they still stayed, overextended, and took the fight there. So they should have been able to trade strong sides, not the case.
Oh, Chris once again going to get caught out here by SOFM. Hero's Entrance coming in. Ultimate going wide. Chris might get out of here without turning into bacon, but nope. Mala says, get back here. I'm going to make me some nice beef.
I'm not sure you get bacon out of a cow, but, you know.
I fixed it eventually. I said beef, and now we see Baron. So we're going to get a nice Baron stew here for Snake, unless FPX want to contest, but they're down a member, so I don't know how I like their chances.
I like where Maestro is coming from.
Oh, the engage immediately onto Tien, and Joinby as well, going to be forced off into the side. It's going to be now
going in. He has to go in here. 23-minute Baron. They're not coming back from this.
Vanguard's Edge went wide for Flandre. Culling going down into the Baron pit. Flandre going to almost pop the GA. There it goes. GA still available for SOFM as he tanks up the Baron. And that's going to be enough to make them disengage. Great play by FPX.
Now that was a really close call from coming out from FPX. It was a situation where they had to play it. There was no other call. And fortunately for them, Flandre did miss the Vanguard's Edge. If he landed that, I feel like that would have been a full turn from Snake. They were already down two members, a 5v3 wipe into a Baron. So a very close situation. I do feel like FPX got just a little bit lucky with their mechanics there.
I'd have to say so, because Flandre, you don't get to 5-0-1, 238 CS without being a great player. And if he had been able to land that Vanguard's Edge, like you said, probably a team wipe. I mean, we've seen him 1v1 Gimgoon with ease. We've seen him fly around the map getting kills left and right. So if it had just been played a little bit differently, this might have been an almost game-ending play here from Snake.
Dodging the bullet here for FPX, but the question is, how do they get themselves back into this situation? Now taking a look at the replay, Maestro finding just such a beautiful engaged position, knows where FPX have to go in, knows that they can't give up on a 23-minute Baron that would essentially end the game, so sets the trap up very well. Unfortunately, Flandre, a little bit of a misplay, unable to close off on that golden opportunity.
Now Snake gonna reset. No longer in contention for Baron, but Dragon is going to be spawning in just 5 seconds. They're in position for it, clearing out the wards. Should be an easy take for them, getting them their second Dragon of the game.
Again, I don't think FPX is going to be willing to contest any of this. What is Gimgoon doing here?
Dirty.
Oh, they blocked the
Asura stopped the back with the ultimate. They saw him on a ward, I presume, and now Flandre is just going to chase him down for the kill.
Control ward for the win. Good snipe by Asura. I'm not sure that if it actually tagged him or not, but like you said, it must have been the vision play.
And now we see Asura picked up that Archangel Staff, so he will be stacking that up, getting the Seraph's Embrace. And after that, for Doinby, he's almost unkillable.
I think they're really trying to channel as much gold as possible onto Doinby. He is known as the super carry for a reason. He can dig you out of very bad situations, but he does need more time to get more items. You can see all 3 of his items are on the defensive side. He's really looking for the IE to be at his optimal state in the game, but that's not going to be for a while.
And I don't think FPX are going to get the chance, because Snake have been making these amazing aggressive engages off the back of SOSM, Flandre, and Mala. The hero's entrance has been a huge part of the combo here for Snake, but if they get caught out here, might change the tune. SOFM goes in for the engage, but his team's coming in. The hero's entrance, like I said, Chris about to go down, and the follow-up comes out. They've gotten the pickup onto Doinby. He's not dead yet, but now Snake looking to disengage, looking to fall back and play around Baron.
I'm not really sure what FPX were trying to do there. Aurelia wasn't on the map, and Gimgoon, even if he used his teleport, he wouldn't be able to save that situation. So I actually feel like these are very questionable calls coming out from FPX. I don't think they should be looking to engage onto Snake members, especially someone like Camille with the GA. That was probably a situation that they could have avoided. What they're really looking for is just to get some vision onto the Baron pit. I don't think contesting when Vladimir is in the bot lane is necessarily a great idea.
I assume they thought that they had a 3 versus 2 there, but even so, with Snake's team doing as well as they are, that's a pretty risky play.
Let me ask you a question. When in these team fights have you not seen Flandre? He's always been there. Every single one of them, he's been on the spot.
Yeah, he has been a constant presence here for Snake, and he's really going to be, I mean, there's a reason he's their franchise player. There's a reason he's the face of the team, and he's been showing it here today, getting every single engage, every single team fight. He's been there for his team, whether he has to TP, he has to walk up, whatever he has to do, he's been there, and they've been rewarded for it. Now they have a 4K gold lead, even in Dragons, but they have the tempo in their hands, and they've almost shut down Doinby's chances of scaling up to the win.
All FPX really needs is they're betting on that Doinby Wombo combo to win the game on a late game team fight for them, but he does need his Infinity Edge. He's not going to do enough damage with the current items that he has now. It's going to be way too difficult to cut over with the Aurelia, and you can see that they don't want to put Doinby against Flandre at this point. Even though the Yasuo might be a winning matchup, they still need to farm him up a little bit more, and they're putting him in towards the top side.
Much like the builds we saw coming out early from SOFM and Flandre, he's gone entirely defensive, like you said, so he's not going to have the damage to cut down the massive member of Snake that is Flandre. And now, Flandre himself looks like he's scouting around for vision, potentially looking for a pick there.
And this is an interesting build coming out from Asura. We're actually seeing the Hextech Gunblade being picked up. The piece is already there, so he's really playing this hybrid Ezreal, very well. The magic damage, his ratios are really insane, and I want to see how much damage he can deal in the late game with his half defensive, half sustain, and type of hybrid build. It feels like he's trying to do too much with it, but I just want to see how it pans out.
Well, I think we have to think about his main damage source, which will be the Mystic Shot Q. It scales off AP, it scales off AD, it applies on hits from the Mura mana as well. So if he gets mana, if he gets AP, if he gets AD, it's all good for him. So I think he's still going to be doing sufficient damage. But here comes the engage, the flash in, Flandre gets out, and now the hero's entrance coming in, gets the knockup onto 3. The going golden wasn't enough, and now Chris might be the first to fall. Doinby's low, still has GA. Mala getting focused down the flank from the side, and they're looking to go all the way here for Snake. They can't pick up one, the GA, Vanguard's edge goes down, they pick up another, and Snake might be able to get the clean ace!
That was such a beautiful full wipe coming out from the Snake squad in the Chongqing Arena right there. I have to give the MVP of that fight to Maestro because he locked down the entire team from FBX. All 5 members taunted just with the quickness, and there was no follow-up from Snake's wombo combo. They did catch Flandre to start the fight off, but instantly Flandre flashed towards the Raptor pit, got out of harm's way, and Asura was unchecked. Nobody was on the main damage carry coming out from Snake, and they were just able to mop the team fight up.
And nobody could be on the main carry because Asura and Flandre both went for the flank position while everyone was distracted with Mala there, and they were able to get the better angles. We'll take a look once again at the fight.
That was great positioning from Flandre to get out of harm's way, and watch the wombo combo after Maestro goes in. Mala slams down to the ground, 3-man knockup, and FBX, they're on the wrong side of the map. They have to take it, there's nowhere to go. It's just about how many members they can take down with them. But a lot of good damage jungling coming out from FBX. Just look at how low their members actually were. Flandre was definitely down to about 300. Of course, he still had the GA, but it was still very impressive team fighting coming out from Snake, and this is what we expect out of Snake.
And now it looks like FBX's hopes have been almost dashed entirely. Their one saving grace left. They can no longer get Doinby to the huge snowball, so they wanted to rely on that wombo combo, but in the one 5v5 team fight they got completely demolished. A clean ace, no losses for Snake, and now Snake have Baron, and they're pushing down into the bottom lane.
It was a very forced wombo combo to begin with, but they really didn't have much choice. It was going to be the next Baron before they could even finish the Infinity Edge onto Doinby. They had to go then and there. But for Snake, all 5 members were around the team fight. They knew that the collapse was going to happen, and they were prepared for it.
They've been ready for it the whole game. They know if they can get these fights, they can get the win, and now they're just going to be splitting the lanes, bottom and mid, and trying to pull FPX's attention from side to side until they find an opening.
Baron buff already taken by Snake in the meantime after the replay coming back. You can see all of the members ping on the big wave.
Down into the bot, potential engage, SOFM goes in, Hextech ultimatum onto Tien, he goes golden, he's safe for now, but Maestro in the backline looking for another engage, they take down Tien, Chris going to be the next target, Maestro makes it out, Doinby diving in, but it won't be enough, they'll take him down, Flandre's still alive, has the GA, and it looks like another fight to be won here by Snake. Kim Goon going golden, but he is soon to be dead.
And Snake wasting no time at all, going straight with the Camille engage onto Tien, who I believe didn't really have the Zhonya's anymore. They're able to pick off the target, and even though Doinby almost made a comeback play with a 3-man knockup, it wasn't enough. The raw power from Snake wins the day.
And now Snake in the grudge match are going to take game number 1 between them and FPX.
Snake already looking for some sweet revenge for that playoff snub that FPX dealt them at the end of 2018 summer split. And what a great showing of what Snake can do. They played all of the flanks perfectly. They were always on the spot, ready to punish FPX. And even though FPX had a really good draft and a strong side, I felt like they had a clear way to win the game. There was just too many mistakes made in the early game, and Flandre was left uncontrollable.
And look at this, the goal difference was absolutely even for a large portion of the game, and that means Snake were just playing what they had to very well. They were losing a little bit in the bottom lane, yes, they were losing a bit in the mid lane, but all they had to do was stay even, and they did that. And then going into the late game, once Flandre got going, there was nothing FPX could do to stop them.
Multiple flanks coming in from their star top laner. Also, really loved the build from Asura right there. It was probably the hardest build to kill an Ezreal on. He does have the shielding coming in from the Mana Mune, from his AP. The double armor items from both his boots and the Iceborne Gauntlet as well. So well played, well itemized. I like the way that they drafted and built their items for the late game just to have an extra edge on top of FPX.
It might be too soon to say it, Clement, but I don't care. I'm going to.
Okay.
Snake's back, baby. Snake, snake, snake. They finally found a strategy that they can use. They finally found something to do when Flandre isn't ahead. They focused around the other side of the map. They let Flandre do his thing. And when you let Flandre do his thing, he wins the game. Snake is a contending team now, Clement. I'm going to say it here, and if I'm wrong, that's fine, because I am so hyped and so ready.
I made the same mistake you did. I was once young and innocent. I came into the LPL, and I was a Snake believer. But Frostcurrent told me otherwise. And at the end of the day, she was right.
You know what? I want to make sure we get to prove Frostcurrent wrong. And I'm sure Snake does too. We'll be back with game number 2 in just a bit. Stick around.